Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And welcome, everybody. I am, of course, RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor at criticalblast.com, just as I have been for the last 8 hours, as you've heard me talk at every single show. We are entering the last third of Podcast-palooza today. It's setting a record. This is our, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hour 9 of a 12-hour marathon stream of crowdfunded comics. And I'm still sane. Stop it. I was saying this. I heard what you said. We are very glad to have with us a newcomer to the show. This is a show. This is a book that I found by accident when we had George Peter Gatsis and his Joe King Saving Everyone Again for the First Time on earlier last week, when we talked about everything but his book. And we went out to Indiegogo and just started clicking on comics to see what was popping up and offering opinions on it. One of those books was a book called Fiendish, and the author and creator of that is Irene Strakowski, who happened to be on Twitter and reachable. Irene, welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here.
So the very first thing we're going to ask is, of course, the most obvious thing. What are you doing in comics?
What am I doing in comics?
Yeah. I mean, not what are you doing in comics? We know what you're doing. You're doing Fiendish. But,
right,
like,
yeah.
It's like, why are you doing comics? What brings you to this medium?
I love comics. I grew up in Taiwan. I think like maybe saying comics in the American sense is a bit of a misnomer, because I grew up in Asia. So a more accurate description of like what I grew up reading would be manga, because I would get Chinese translations of Japanese comics growing up, and it was like one of my first roots of escapism. Because I've always been a pretty creative person. I've always been very imaginative, but like the education system there, sort of the demands of the culture were very constraining, and they wanted, I know it's a stereotype, but at least from my experience, it was true. It's like, you go to college, you get good grades and all that stuff. But it was like, I want to do something creative, and I love storytelling. And, I picked up like a comic when I was in I've always liked art. I've always drawn and like to make up stories in my head, but I picked up a comic for the first time in like 5th grade, and I was just like, I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. So I think it was a manga I think it's called Case Closed in America. It's like this mystery manga, but that just led to like Kenshin, and FMA also changed my life, and then Ghost in the Shell changed my life even more. So I was addicted, and of course none of the adults wanted me to do manga or comics. They thought I would starve, but I insisted on coming to America and finding a way to do this for a living. Now here I am.
And now, and we're very glad to have you. This is, of course, the Indiegogo page for Fiendish. And, well, look at that. You're already funded. You don't need us. We'll see you later.
Oh, it went up.
Wonderful show.
No. So we have stretch goals. We have some awesome stretch goals that we're trying to get to. So
okay, well, then we'll
still need the help.
Yes,
okay. Keep me.
Onward,
please
then.
keep me. Good. Awesome.
This is your second campaign. Where did we miss you?
Oh, my first one was just an art book. So I did a Indiegogo for my art book Regrowth in 2019 towards the end of the year. And I kind of just wanted to test out the platform because I've never done crowdfunding before. And also, I know that if I have a record of crowdfunding, I'm fulfilling one campaign, and then it's more likely people will back, my second campaign. So I wanted to like train myself. Yeah, I want to train myself in how crowdfunding goes, and also kind of like put myself on the platform first. So I crowdfunded for an art book on there, and I was only going for I think 1,000 or something, a small run, but that like I met like double of that amount, which is pretty decent for an art book by some unknown artist, I guess. So I kind of just got my feet in the game, learned how crowdfunding works, and now I have my comic ready.
Well, you have you've gone to the trouble of putting the video together, which
I'm very proud of the video.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the videos we found have been very, very important in these crowdfunding campaigns. A lot of people just kind of gloss over it, or they haphazardly put it together. We're going to throw yours up on the big screen here and then judge you.
It's okay. I'm okay with being judged.
All right, here we go. Let's play this out. All right, very well done. You should be proud of yourself for that video.
Thank you.
So
I feel like I need to be judged harder. I was expecting, harsh criticism. I can take
no,
it.
we don't do that here.
Okay.
My whole goal, we never do the gotcha questions unless we're being facetious. This is solely to promote your work.
Awesome.
If people end up hating you after our interview, you did it. We didn't.
All right, cool. That's a good tactic. I got it.
So there was a lot.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, well, yeah, we won't stop you. There was a lot of first-person narrative going on in the video there. So that begs the question: who of these? I'm pointing to the screen again, like you can see my finger. There we go. Who of these three people are your protagonist? Who's telling this story?
So I would say I have about 4 protagonists, but the main character, like the main protagonist, is Casimir, and he is the one that opens the story. He's the one who is narrating this introductory chapter, and he's, I'm telling the trailer from his voice. So he's the oldest guy at the bottom, the blonde one.
Got it. Got with a little bit of chin stubble.
Yeah. So essentially the story is about a group of young men and women coming together to discover the truth behind these mysterious monsters and mysterious demons that invade their world. And he's sort of introduction to everything, because he's the only one he saw them first, and he escaped a massacre, when he was young. His town was killed, but it's kind of seen the story a lot, especially in anime. Oh, your whole town, your whole family is killed by demons. But I put a little fresh, a fresh twist to it, where the demons are completely mysterious. Nobody has seen them before. They don't know, they think they're otherworldly creatures. So, of course, magic exists in this world, but still no one is sure where, what brought them forth. And since he was the only survivor from that incident, and these demons suddenly come back, he is sort of leading in charge of going back to his past and telling himself he can't run away from what happened. As the trailer said, it's sort of a realization that, he can't run away. He has to go back and take responsibility and put his, the bones of his family to rest. And it is a bit of a vengeance story, and I want to evolve more from there, because it's about vengeance, but it's also about the search for truth. And I don't want to give away too much, but
sure.
Yeah, it's both an adventure story and a mystery story, all combined. It's like action and also mystery, because I like murder mysteries and stuff. So I put a lot of that kind of writing in it. So yeah.
All right. So you're the writer and the artist, I should mention here. You've got complete control over all of this.
Yes, I'm a control freak.
Perfect. You should be. If you're going to make a comic, and it beats the hell out of having to collaborate with somebody, because then you just have opportunity to argue.
That too. I mean, I had worked in, I would suppose, publisher comics, for bigger publishers, but most of the work I've done for that are pencils and ink. So I think what I've mostly been known for is doing the art, and I've done some cover work as well. But so I'm not professionally as trained or as well known for writing, but so I feel like going into this, I would just definitely try to I've been working on this for a long time, and I'm still a little afraid that people will think, oh, you're not a real writer. And I still kind of feel like I'm not a real writer, because I haven't written anything professionally published, but I have been writing my whole life. I just haven't put it out there, because I'm just picky. I want to have the right story. So
Irene, that doesn't go away when you are professionally published. I'm
Okay.
I'm the writer on the Remo Williams series, The Destroyer, right now, and I've had 2 books published before that. And I still go to conventions and sit down at tables and why am I here with these guys who are professional writers? It's called Imposter Syndrome, and it doesn't go away.
Okay,
because they're all thinking the same thing. They're all thinking.
So we're all just pretending. All right, cool.
Yeah, we're all sitting around with our heroes and wondering why they let us in, and when they're going to figure out we're here and kick us out.
Yeah, and they're thinking the same thing about someone else.
Yes, exactly. And I'm seeing a lot of grayscale pictures here, not black and white line art, which I would see that and think, well, it's going to be colored later. But then I see color pictures in here. So is the book going to be full colored, or is it sort of a mix, or?
Okay, so right now the book is predominantly grayscale. And I had, I paid a colorist. I have a colorist, Carlos, who helped me with some shading, and also he colored those prologue pages. So the pages you see that are color is like a 3-page prologue I have. And this is something that I kind of carried over from manga. In manga, a lot of the time, to save time, they don't make the comic in full color, but they'll have an intro with just like 3 pages that are in full color to grab the reader's attention. And I would like the comic to be in full color. This is not a choice made just because, I don't like color comics, but I don't have the money to pay Carlos out of pocket to color. Because this whole book is 46 pages. I'm doing like almost more than double length what a standard American comic is, because my goal is to, do 40 to 50 page chapters. And right now I'm trying to do like biannually. I'd like to, speed that up, but I still have a day job and everything, so time. But if we can, that's one of our stretch goals. Right now we're at 3,300 or so. If we can get to 10,000, which is a lofty goal for my first comic crowdfunding, but if we can get to that, then I'll have the money to pay Carlos to make the entire book in color, and I would love to see that. So
yeah, well, you still have 24 days left, and I'm assuming that's your first 30 days.
It's 30. Yeah, I set it at 30 days, and we got funded in 4 days, which I was very amazed by. So
So when this 24 runs out, you actually have the opportunity to go another 30 days. That's
true.
They'll give you 60, and then there's in demand after that. So achieving $10,000 on this book is not out of the question at all. Not to jinx anything.
I mean, I would love to see that. I don't know. It just seemed like such a lot, because like my first art book crowdfunding was for like 1,000. I think even less. I don't remember. But because I've been publishing my own like short comics and my own art books ever since college, and I've always just paid out of pocket. So it was like, oh, I'll pay $500 for like a tiny run for one convention. But I feel like with this project, I'm very serious about it. And we've been working on this for 3 years now, and at this point, I'm operating like my own small publisher, and I'm going to make my own imprint, because my goal is to be completely independent. And I looked at taking this to publishers, but there's no publisher out there that I really saw that met what I wanted, because I'm very specific about how I want to publish my comics. And I know it's more work to go independent, but I think it's the right way to go. Like, I think, again, I'm a control freak, but I think it's going to be better for the story, and that's what's most important.
Apparently you do a great job on Manga Studio videos as well here, according to Paulus Arts. Would love you to do more.
Cool. Wiggle. I did one a long time ago. It's been a while.
Apparently it's a backup plan or a side hustle.
I see. Yeah, I should do more of those. My elevator pitch of Fiendish. Yes, Fiendish is a comic about a group of young men and women who are going on a journey of vengeance to discover the truth behind otherworldly monsters that are invading their world. That's my elevator pitch.
Now, these monsters, since you are the artist, I can actually ask this question. How do you go about creating something that looks like this? Because there's not a reference you can pull from that says, hey, I want, I'm just going to make it look like a giant Flurgle-Beagle, and then there it is. This is Lovecraftian, and that's what I really see in these creatures that are coming across the dimensions in your story are like the elder god Lovecraft characters.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I also am a bit of a Lovecraft fan, so I think I started with just playing with shapes, because I considered doing concept art professionally for a short while in college. So I kind of used techniques I learned from that of just like blocking down shapes. And it took quite a while to reach like this unified, well, it's not like I wouldn't say unified look, but the look I want for these creatures, because my goal was I wanted to be able to create a wide variety of different sizes and shapes, and I want these creatures to look like they were all different species. But because, I mean, I could spoil a little bit, they're from a different dimension. So even though they are different species, they have some unifying traits. So I did a lot of prep work. This is why preparing for this comic took 3 years, because it's not just drawing the first chapter. I built the world and I was designing everything and designing the monsters, because I want to know everything in my head before starting to draw. And I think readers can tell if you know what you're saying, and I think that's very important. So, basically what I do with the monsters is I decide like a basic shape, and then I ask myself, is a shape too similar to something that's in our world, because I want them to seem otherworldly and freaky. And then I have like some standard things that I add on to these monsters, like the Lovecraftian tentacles, and they have this feeder, and I try to just put them on in ways that people wouldn't expect. And another good thing to do that's not just with creature design, with all your art, is leave it for a couple days and then come back and view it and say, is this good? With kind of fresh eyes.
Sure.
So yeah, and I mean, I love drawing monsters, and it's something I haven't gotten the chance to do professionally a lot, but I'm trying to flex my muscles a bit with this project.
Now, this may be a bit spoilery of a question, but you said that they're from different dimensions. Are you saying that all the creatures are from a different same dimension, or all the creatures are all from different dimensions, each one? Like, one creature comes from dimension A and another creature is actually from dimension B, but they're all coming here.
I think I'll save that mystery for a few chapters in.
Okay. That's how you tease the audience.
Yeah. It's not that, I think like chapter 4 or 5, we get to, we discover like where they're from. So
I also want to go back real quick here. I found it interesting that you say that that's a technique in manga where they use the first couple of pages in color and then they go to black and white, because that's absolutely flipped around from the way storytelling is done in the US, historically speaking. The flashback is usually done as a black and white kind of thing, or at least a faded sepia tone thing, and then you go into the full color. Best example I can come up with all the time is The Wizard of Oz, which started out as a black and white, and then when she goes to Oz and the doors open, suddenly everything's in color, and you carry forward the rest of the way that way. But here it's more of a economic thing. It's like, just color the first couple of pages, get their eye, and then they're into the story after that.
Yeah. With manga, it's not so much like the flashback sections are colored. That's just what happened to, that's how it worked out with my first chapter. But it's more of an economic thing. Like, it does, even if there is no flashback, it's just the first like 2 or 3 pages are often in color, just to show people this is what the characters like colors are, and this is what the world looks like, and then so they can project it onto the rest of the pages, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I do have a love for grayscale comics, and I don't think it's really necessary for comics to be in color, but I do realize that American audience likes comics in color, and I would love to see my comic in color, but I don't really do interior colors myself.
Well, manga are thick, so that would be a lot of extra money to put in color.
Their page turnaround is also, in really, really fast. So
yeah,
it's a bit of a different industry.
So the manga influence, but I'm going to probably answer it for you here to Wiggle. Is it getting printed in manga format? I'm betting you're printing this in Western format.
Yes, it is. It's Western comic size.
Okay, and it's going to read from the front page.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be for an American audience. So I have a manga influence, but this is still targeted at an American audience. So
well, let's take a
like
look
iconography
through
and
Oh yeah,
no, it's fine.
Let's take a look through the tiers here and see what's going on. This is the hard copy of the first chapter. I was trying to get into your titling thought there. So this is Air. I almost thought this would be the digital copy, but is there a digital copy? No digital copy of this one.
Not at the moment. I have the preview book, which is just half of chapter 1 for sale on my Gumroad. It's been up there for a while. I consider doing a digital copy, but I think what I'm doing with a digital version is I'm going to build a website reader I'm going to build it into the website, and people can, pay like $1, and then they'll have that chapter unlocked on the website. So because I think I could sell a PDF, but from the feedback that I've heard is people would rather just have a website they can go to and not have to download a PDF and, so I don't know. It depends on user feedback. And if I do want to say, if we do get to the color comic, like getting the comic, fully color. If we get to 10K, then since coloring the comic will probably take an extra month or so, I will package the black and white comic into a digital PDF and send it out to everyone who backed the book, just so the book is in everyone's hands. So, so
very nice.
to meet their deadline. Yeah, so that's something that I've already thought of doing. But no, right now the perks I didn't offer a digital version because that didn't seem to be something people demanded. People like print comics.
Yeah, well, they do until they're asked to ship them overseas, is what I'm finding. And then they're like, I don't want to pay the shipping costs on that one, so give me digital. But your customers will speak up on that one.
Yeah, I'll see what the feedback is. If people ask for a digital version, I'll put up a tier for that.
All right, so $20 for the 46-page story plus 10 pages of extra content. Can you explain what the extra content is? Is that story content or backup content, glossary content, pinups?
All of the above. There are a few pages of pencils, so a few pages of I realize people like seeing the pencil drafts, so I put like 2 of those pencil drafts to a page, and so a few pages of that. I have my character designs for Casimir, Iskall, and Yomi, my 3 characters who major characters show up in chapter 1. I have pinups, guest pinups from Carlos, who is my colorist, and also Ivan, who's a good artist friend of mine. They're doing guest pinups, and probably someone else as well. So we might have 3 guest pinups, a poster. No, that's a poster. So scratch that. So a few guest pinups, turnarounds, sketches, like early sketch work for the characters, and also I built a language for this project because I'm crazy. So I have a pronunciation guide at the end of this book, and the idea is so at the end of every book, I'm going to start introducing the language more and more. So in the first chapter, since all the language is called Nunarsa, and because it's full fantasy, and I was like, it doesn't make sense if it's full fantasy and I use English in it. So to make it as I need to make it immersive. So to make it as immersive as possible, I decided to build a language for it. And all the sound effects are written in Nunarsa. So because I felt like that's, it adds to the immersion. It's kind of a cool touch that I thought, readers might like. So if you want to find out what the sound effects read as, you can check, the dictionary, like the pronunciation guide at the back of the book. And slowly as the story progresses, it's not like pivotal to understanding the story. You don't have to learn a language to read the comic or anything, but it's just something for people who really want to nerd out, to study and look into at the end of every chapter. They can look at, the words that are introduced at the end of the book and go flip back through the chapters like, oh, that's what that sign said, or oh, that's what that sound effect says. So it's a little extra treat for people that really like to indulge in world building.
So we have writer, we have artist, we have web designer, because you're building your own e-comic reader. We have etymologist. Can we add overachiever to the list, Irene? Because
okay, good. I'm not a web designer. I'm paying someone to do that.
Okay. Because I was like,
I don't do everything. I do, I like paying people for some things. So that's way too much work.
Yeah, but still, just designing a language and getting into the grammar of something, how things are structured, that's a lot of work.
Fun.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is the same thing that happened to Gene Roddenberry, I'm sure, on a number of occasions. People are going to come up to, people come up to me speaking Klingon, expecting that he's going to be fluent in it. They're going to come to you and say something, and you're going to you're going to be expected to respond.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I better learn my own language, right? Because when you're designing it, you don't necessarily learn to speak it. Because when I'm designing, sometimes there's short sections where characters speak it. I'm referencing the dictionary. I don't speak the language. So somebody. I mean, it would be awesome if people like the story enough that they start learning a constructed language that you built. How awesome would that be? I can dream, right? But I don't think I'm gonna learn my own language.
Well, you're the second person on today who has talked about building their own language for their book, and Heroenberg has popped in both times to talk about conlanging and asking, what kind of language your language is. Is it inflectional, agglutinative? I'm not even going to guess what agglutinative is. Is that German? Isolationing or polysynthetic?
I don't know. See, I'm not like a super amazingly, qualified etymologist. So I'm sure the person who sent that super chat is going to hate me right now. I just make up an alphabet and I plug it in. But what I did do is the syntax is Chinese, and because I speak both Chinese and English, so basically what I did was the sounds are kind of a amalgamation of Old Norse and a little bit of Old Slavic, but I also added my own touch. So it's a lot more oo sounds and n sounds, and the syntax, the word order is based on Chinese. So, and the writing is also influenced a little bit by Japanese writing, because I have phonetic writing, but also I have logographic writing, which is character based, but we'll introduce that later because that's a little complicated. So basically it's heavily based on Old Norse, because I don't know if it's obvious with just looking at the first chapter, but like Old Norse, not so much the mythology, but like the culture and like a bit of the philosophy that Norse paganism was a big influence on how I started this project. So it's not like the only cultural influence. I'm taking a lot of influence from a bunch of pagan cultures from around the world, but that was the basis for, like at least the beginning of the story. And that's what I based the language on.
It's actually pretty obvious from the style of art, if I might say, just because, it's got that sort of a woodcut look to it, which I've seen in things like Castle Waiting, and I can't remember who did Castle Waiting now. That was a long time ago. But you mentioned you have done other comic book work before for larger publishers, and there was the question in the chat how you like working on Silk. I'm assuming that was the Spider-Man spinoff title. So
yeah,
you've been tainted by Marvel, but we'll forgive you.
Hey, they pay well.
Yeah, that's why we love comics, but we like getting money.
Yes.
So I will take a sequential art of George Washington, one after the other, all day long.
Yes, that's the best kind of. Well, I wouldn't say the best kind, but I need to pay rent, so
yeah.
Silk
Every once in a while, a Ben Franklin picture is not unwelcome. So
yeah, you take what you can get. So I liked the projects. It was working for Marvel. I like the medium of comics. Like, I didn't grow up reading superhero comics, so I don't have like super strong opinions about it. I thought the story of Silk was interesting, but overall it's just something that, I do it to pay rent. It was a cool team to work with, and that was that. But I was only like a secondary artist. Like, Marvel never really kept me on for like gave me my own title, and honestly, they never really put me on books that I felt suited my style. It's also my own fault. I don't think I asked, because I wasn't like that enthusiastic about, like, I feel like it'd be great if I got to draw Conan, but I didn't think I was ever gonna get to like drawing Conan
Well, do you have a style? I mean, is this what we're seeing here? Is that your style, or is this like one of the styles in your portfolio?
I think I have a few styles, but this is how I prefer to draw comics, because I have this style. I have like a more cutesy illustration style, then I have like kind of a cover art style. So I feel like I can go more black and white with comics, but this is for this specific style for Fiendish. It's I have a couple styles for comics, but they're all. I don't know if like your viewers would recognize the term seinen manga, kind of like seinen manga married with European fantasy comics. Like Siegfried is one that I really like, and of course Black Sad. I love Black Sad, but my style isn't really like that. It's more like the motion and the storytelling of it is what I take from that comic series. But seinen manga is basically manga has a target audience of adult, and like in Japan it's targeted at adult men. It's not like only men can read it, but that's the target audience, and I've always liked that. So one of my favorite manga is Berserk, and
oh yeah, a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I love Berserk, but also Vinland Saga is a recent one that's still ongoing. It's fantastic. And also Vagabond. I don't know if that's ever going to get done, but I love Vagabond. So those are the kind of comics that I gravitate to, and I take influence from that, and I kind of just add a Western touch to it.
All right. Well, Irene, here's how my perverse mind works when it comes to comic artists. I was at a convention in 1989, way before you were born, and Todd McFarlane was
actually
a young
that's the
man.
year I was born.
Oh, I would have not. I wouldn't expect you to be that ancient.
No, you know my age. I don't.
We've doxed her.
No.
Anyway, I'm at a convention and Todd McFarlane is there, and everybody's lined up to get book signing, and it's Spawn, Spider-Man, Spawn, couple of Hulks. I get up there and I plop down Infinity Inc. because that was his first book that he had done for DC. I thought at the time, I think it might have been something else now, actually. So once you blow up with Fiendish and people say, oh, I've got to make sure that I have the very first Irene Strakowski book, what book are they looking for?
Oh boy. So the very first published comic I did?
Yeah, your very first published work.
That was Deadpool Family #1 from Marvel in 2011.
Okay. And what did you do in that?
Pencils and inks. It was just a one-shot. It was like an 11-pager. I was actually still in college, so I was about to graduate, and someone got me on that book. So, yeah, I did the one-shot in it with Lady Deadpool. Yeah. And then they didn't hire me again for like 6 years. So.
Well, at least you had that you were on the resume. You know, it's like, oh yeah, we've hired you.
It was. It does help a lot. Yeah.
It opens doors. You know, Marvel. Oh, let's give you a Netflix series. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want a Netflix series, but you know, it looks good. You
want a comic book series.
I want a comic book series. I am not drawing this comic for Netflix. I don't get why. I don't know. If people like to do that, they can. I feel like I want this to be a comic. Yeah, I'm not doing this.
People who are doing that are drawing their storyboards and they're trying to sell them to us. They're selling us their storyboards for a Netflix pitch.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, if they want to do it, it's fine. I'm not going to tell the people what to do, but I don't want anything to do with Hollywood. I don't like them. So I want to make comics for comic sake.
All right. Well, you're in the right place.
Awesome.
Let's see, we were looking at the second tier here. It's water, $25 US for a physical copy of the book and the poster by Irene. Now, what does the poster look like? Is that the cover that we saw earlier here?
No, that's the last one. Yeah, that one right there.
So this is
the one with all three. Yeah, that would be the poster, and the only just Casimir is the main cover, and the one with Casimir, Isco, and Yomi, the one with kind of a purple background in the snow. That'll be the poster by me.
Okay. It doesn't say how big that poster is, but 11 by 17 is the usual go-to size.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it. You know, I don't know if I want to fold it, but if I have to ship it, I'll have to fold. Yeah. So it'll be 11 by 17 folded. Yeah.
Next tier up is cold. That's not an element, by the way, Irene. You started with air and water. Now you've broken pattern.
I know. I'm bad at science.
Yeah, she's defiant and fiendish. So here you get Fiendish #1, Demons, the poster, and the guest poster. So there's more paper.
I should say which guest. Yeah, I should say which guest. That would be the one by Carlos, my colorist. So I have the Carlos and Yvonne are both still working on their posters, but I have their sketches further down in the page. So.
All right. Wilberforce has asked if these are rolled or folded. I'm pretty sure they're going to be folded.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would be able to send the comic and the poster if they're like roll the comic. It's going to be a pretty thick book.
Yeah, so. don't roll the comic. Come on, Wilberforce.
Yeah. Unless I ship them separately, so I'm going to fold it. Yeah.
Yeah, that people do that. It sucks for me because I don't like folded stuff myself, but you know, it's the way to do it right now because we send out movie posters as prizes for criticalblast.com a lot, and I've got the U.S. Post Office approved triangular tubes. They're $7.50 to ship those things out. Sometimes 14.
Oh yeah, they cost too much, and I can't ship it with the comic, and just can't do it.
Gotcha.
Hold it.
Now we're Now, Earth, that is going to have both the posters. 40. I liked how you're building on what came before. It's not like this one's totally different than the last tier you just saw. We're just throwing more things in the cart.
Yeah, just adding on a little bit. Let's see which one. Yeah, it's just all the posters. I have 3 posters so far, and that's just book, 3 posters. So.
Book and 3 posters.
I feel like $5 more for each poster is pretty reasonable.
No, ooh,
and he is. Yeah, it's a little plastic. If you've been to like anime conventions, it's like a little that I also have a preview, like a rough draft of what the standee will look like. So I have like a small drawing of the demon, the one that's actually on screen attacking that guy right there. But like a small version of it, it'll be in color, of course. I'm printing on a little plastic, plastic stand with a die cut in plastic with a stand. Like a little thing you can put on your table. I love to make toys because like I do sculpture and toy making, but I don't have the money. But further on, I would love to actually make like toys and stuff for this series. But a girl can dream big, right? But right now I'm like, this is a cheap little thing.
I can hook you up with George Peter Gatsis, who does 3D prints for people who are crowdfunded, CG, and he does them for cost. So, he tells you what it's going to cost to print your thing, then you put that in your tier and you bump it up to make your money on it. But he's doing it he's if you've seen Oddity, the statue that they have, he's done that one. He's done one for Canadian Shield. He's got his own book and he's putting out a spaceship, and his whole house is filled with nothing but 3D printers because that's his life. It's his work job, and he got COVID at home, so he brought work home with him. So definitely check out.
I need to know this person.
I will introduce you. I will make sure.
Yes.
But the standees that you're talking about here, I think Common America did one of those. Tim Lim in his books. You're talking about it's just like a clear flat plastic thing, and you can see through it both sides, and it's got a little thing that it stands in. They look beautiful.
They're simple and they're really pretty. So I think it's easy to produce for the first chapter.
Wilbur's right. George does great work, and Wiggles. We know people.
Okay.
You're not prepared for George. Okay, George is old, so George gets picked on. He's old like me, not older than me. I keep forgetting I'm old too now. And now plasma. This is where it really gets hot. This is the biggest tier. This is everything that came before and a handmade demon plaque. Okay.
Yes.
Handmade.
So I made
your hands.
Yes, a handmade. Yes. So it's custom art, but it's made. It will be on wood. So with my art book and what I've seen with a lot of other crowdfunding campaigns for comics, I see the highest tiers usually you get original art, but I wanted to add a new twist to that because it's just something special. And I do pyrography, which is drawing, like making illustrations on wood or leather are the most common materials with like it's kind of like a solder pen, but you have like it's actual pyrography tools. So it looks like they're nibs, but it's like a heated wire, and you can change out the wire to different thicknesses. So you can make illustrations on wood and leather. And I have samples on my website at raineydraws.com. So I did that just for fun for a short while, and I felt like I have a pretty diverse skill set. I make a lot of different kinds of crafts and art. So, and also this comic is it's set in a pre-industrial setting. It's very naturey, and the characters, like, they're surrounded by nature a lot. So I felt like having rewards in wood or leather are something that fits the feel of the project that I could bring in. And it's also something handmade in a unique way that's not, if people want art on paper, that's cool too. I can always take commissions, but this is unique to the campaign. So it's like a little wooden plaque. It'll probably be about this big, and I will hand draw an original drawing of a demon on it.
That is very cool. And like I said, this art already looks like it's a woodcut kind of thing. So to have actual wood burning would take it. I don't know why Kriegel asking me a question. Are you going to Rokan at any point? I don't even know where Rokan is. or if he's one of our guests. I think somebody's asking our schedule. I don't know if you saw our schedule, Irene. We've been going at this since 10 o'clock this morning, and it is.
I heard your intro. That's insane.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Kudos to you.
What else am I going to do today? It's a Sunday, and I've got nowhere to be. I went out. I went out yesterday because I had nowhere to be, and I was like, well, I'll just go out, and I won't spend any money, I promise. But I'm in a tourist area, and I went to an antique shop, and I picked up this Varga calendar. I'm like, okay, I can't not pick up Varga.
You had to. I mean,
yeah. And it's 1986. So in 2025, this is a viable calendar again. I can use this 4 years from now.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, perfect. Plan ahead.
So yeah, we have Illustrator Monk, also who does a woodcut style, kind of like what you've got there. Justice City and Beard Zerker with Don Chin will wrap us up for the night. So I don't think no, we won't be going to Rokon, I guess, unless he comes to us and we get him on later. So let's we see more of these alien. I said alien. They're interdimensional, but they're sandworms. That's what I was thinking of. The dune sandworms, those big mouths that they had at the end of them. That's exactly what I was seeing here.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like those. I like.
But more tentacular. It's.
It varies. It varies by the species. So some have sandworm mouths, some are all sucky and weird, and yeah, it varies. I like to get creative.
And I notice they're all symmetrical. That's sort of a thing that nature kind of demands, though, I guess. I mean, there's no asymmetrical monster where it's like, yeah, I have 7 arms, but 6 of them are over here.
Yeah, that's strange. Maybe I should make some of that asymmetrical, but then that kind of, you also have to think about how they psychologically come across to the reader, and that would come across as unnatural or artificial, or like it's there's something deformed about the creature. Like that reads just silly to us as, oh, this is like a synthetic creature, So
she made it look alien, is what I'd be thinking. And this is here we actually see a sample now of the of both the stand-up. This can be the plastic stand-up, and this is the wood burned art. So these are circular plaques.
Yeah, there's circular plaques about yay big, probably like about 4 to 5 inches, and that's just a mock-up. Like I'm working on actually creating one right now, as I have samples of them on my website of previous art I did of just like drawings of deer and leaves and crap. That's but I don't have one of the actual demons from Fiendish, but I will have one out. Oh yeah, so those are the guest posters from Carlos and Yvonne, and there's a proper mock-up of what the Sandy will look like. Yep.
Got it. So this is where his face is. It looks like to me.
Yeah, for this specific creature, the faces vary across all of them, but they don't tend to have faces in like a normal place. They have faces all over them, and they have like multiple faces. So, and there's a story behind that, but you'll have to keep on reading to find out.
You have to read that one to find out. Okay, we're talking about the fund distribution. We don't care. We don't care what it costs you.
Cool. Indiegogo told me to disclose it, so I did.
Doesn't it? 100% of it is going to the production of the book. That's all we care about.
Yeah. Well, yes.
But we don't need to break it down. Project funded, already done. All backers are going to get a high-res desktop and phone wallpaper package. So that's one digital perk that's going to be coming in already. And we're about to hit this 5K mark here. Spot gloss on the title text will be added to the cover. That'll be nice. I'll make that Fiendish kind of pop out there.
Yep.
But we have to get 8,000 because RJ likes stickers. Anybody who watches my show knows that I am a sticker guy, because the back of my monitor and the back of my laptop are covered with all CG and crowdfunded stickers.
That's so. I love to make stickers for
I think I heard you say CG earlier. Are you? Do you attribute yourself to the CG part of the crowdfunding, or are you just crowdfunding in general? I don't want to put labels on anybody that doesn't want themselves.
No. Yeah. Just crowdfunding in general. Yeah.
Okay. Because God forbid the wrong person label you with the wrong label.
No, I know
It'll
there's
never
like
be the same.
I know there's a lot of drama around it, and I'm just independent. I'm doing my own comic. I got no beef with anybody.
Good, stay that way.
I'm just doing my own comics. Yeah.
But yeah, the Fiendish sticker package included for all orders, which has to include the Fiendish logo. We want to advertise your book, not just, hey, that's a demon, that looks pretty cool, and not have anybody know to go to your book once they see it to go get it.
Yeah.
And for 10K, the entire comic will be colored, which may slow it down a little bit, but not by much.
I feel like probably about a month. So if we look like we're gonna hit 10K, I already set the original deadline to August is the delivery, which is I gave us like some buffer to like pack everything and get it printed. But I would say if we do get to 10K, I have to color the book. I would tentatively push it back another month just so Carlos has the time to do all his work. But I feel like it's pretty reasonable.
I think so too. And I've just been informed in the chat that we've had our shake and bake moment.
It's shake and bake, and I help. It's shake and bake, and I help.
We have gone from 83 backers to 84 backers during the course of the show. And whenever that happens, I take all the credit. It could have been somebody.
The credit is yours.
Could have been.
It probably was, because this is Sunday. No, yeah, like crowdfunding is pretty slow on the weekend, so it probably was your show. So thank you, sir, and thank you to whoever just backed this book.
Absolutely.
Number 84. Yeah.
And Paulus Arts just complimented you greatly. Says you're normal.
I'm normal. I try to be. I mean, I don't know. I spend all day sitting in front of a computer making languages. I don't know how normal that is, but I try.
Well, Frog G, of course, wants to know what the $20,000 stretch goal is.
I haven't thought of that.
Frog, let's get her to 20,000. Let's get her to 19,000, so she has to think about the 20,000 stretch goal. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll make Valkyrie, Red Valkyrie happy and have a patch. Because as much as I love the stickers, Shay loves iron-on and so on patches. For her jacket of collecting all the titles out there.
I could do a patch.
Patch would be cool.
Consider that. Mm-hmm.
I know you don't have any T-shirts, you don't have any hats, you don't have any buttons. This is not a carnival affair. This is selling a book. So I do appreciate that aspect of it. I think a lot of people.
And I think, there's other stuff that I think I try to see things through the point of view of the backers and people that are looking at this from the outside. And the book and the story is the most important thing in every way. And if they really like the story, then they can get a cute little standee or you can get some posters. But, I don't want to make this here's a half. I don't want to swear, but it's a very limp-wristed, badly made comic, and here's some toys, and it's for selling the toy or something. I don't know. So that's not what it's about.
Exactly.
I have made pins and stuff. I can make those products because I've done conventions, but it just depends on what people ask for, really. If that's what people want, sure.
Yeah, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of first-time crowdfunded campaigns go up, and it's the very first thing you see is get the T-shirt and get the hat and get the. It's dude, nobody knows that they even like your book yet. Why would they go around advertising it with their body? So
Right. I do have a T-shirt for this, but I made it for because I designed this before COVID, and so I thought we would be going to conventions. So I have a shirt. It's on my Redbubble, but it's it's not here. I don't expect people to buy it. The book isn't. If it gets more popular, people want it, then I'll start selling it. But
I'm the same way. I've got the red polo shirt with the embroidered Critical Blast logo patch on here to look all professional at conventions. We don't have conventions to go to.
And when they'll come back, who knows? But pity. But yeah. Oh well.
Well, Irene, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you responding to my request. And bringing this cool book to our viewers here. I think we got some good response. And hopefully, we're going to spread the word and get you to that, $10,000, $20,000 level. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. You've got plenty of time and plenty of talent and plenty of people ready to tell people about it.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your show. It's
glad to do
always,
it.
It's just, I love talking to other people who love comics, and thank you for promoting people who are doing independent comics, because it's really hard to, put yourself out there when you're just doing independent stuff. So
It's
I
how I
really,
can
really.
contribute. So everybody, if you're watching this
Sorry.
on the replay, it's the only way I can contribute, because I can't make comics. I write novels, I write, that guy back there, but
Awesome.
I can't draw. I make, Matt Diesel's Bean World look like, high art. So again, you're not old enough to know Matt Diesel's Bean World.
I don't know that, but well, we all have different talents.
Well, there was also Cynical Man, which was nothing but stick figures, and it made a long-running comic book series. So it's always about the story. Anyway, folks, if you're watching this on the replay, right down there is a link to Irene's Indiegogo page. Click on that. Pick the perk you want, because you're going to want one of them. And they're all very simple perks, and they're all very reasonably priced perks as well. If you've seen the Indiegogos and the Kickstarters that are like, just send your firstborn and sign his left leg in blood, and we'll send you a comic book. That's not this. This is
no.
This is a very good price for comic. How far do you think this is going to go? Obviously, this is chapter 1, so you've got an end in mind. Are we looking at 4 chapters, 10 chapters, Game of Thrones kind of thing?
Game of Thrones. Well, it's a long form story, and I don't want to get too crazy, but it's divided into arcs. So the first arc is 9 chapters. So I would like to at least get through that. And of course, there's a larger story I'd like to tell after that. But 9 chapters is my is the goal that the goal in sight that I'd like to get to.
Okay, so Wheel of Time. We got it. Wheel of Time. That's
there we go.
One of those.
Yeah.
You just have to live long enough to finish it, okay? Promise us you'll do that. Don't leave us on a cliffhanger.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All right.
I'll try.
Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for showing up. We don't have a show without you, and we just hope you have a blast, and that we'll see you again in 2 minutes when we go talk to Illustrator Monk about his new book, Eclectic Coven, not Electric Oven. Get it right. It's Eclectic